Magic Treehouse, Book Number 17. Tonight on the Titanic by Mary Pope Osborne. Chapter 1. A New Mission. Jack opened his eyes. It was a stormy night. The rain tapped hard on his window pane. "Do you hear what the rain is saying?" said a voice. Jack turned on his lamp. Annie stood in his doorway. She wore her rain patio over her pajamas and held a flashlight. "It's saying, 'Come now,'" she said. "You're nuts," said Jack. "Listen, just listen," said Annie. Jack listened. The rain did seem to be tapping out. Come now. We have to go to the treehouse," said Annie. "Something important is about to happen." "Right now?" said Jack. Jack didn't want to leave his warm, cozy room, but he had a feeling Annie was right. Something important was about to happen. "You coming?" he asked. Yeah, she says. He climbed out of bed. "Just put on your rain patio," said Annie. Jack threw his rain patio over his pajamas. He pulled on his sneakers and grabbed his backpack. "Don't forget your Master Librarian card," said Annie. "I have mine with me." Jack put the card with the glowing letter M on it into his backpack. "I'm ready," he said. Jack and Danny went quickly down the stairs. Then they slipped out the door into the chilly damp night. The storm had eased up. Rain fell gently as they ran out the street. The wet ground glistened in the beam of flashlight. They headed into the Frog Creek woods. Wind blew through the air, shaking water to the ground. Jack shivered. He wiped raindrop off his glasses. "Brr," said Annie. "I'm cold." "Me too," said Jack. As they kept walking, Annie pointed the flashlight up to the trees. "There it is," she said. Her lights had found the treehouse. "Morgan!" Jack called. There was no answer. "I wonder what's wrong," said Annie. I was sure she'd be here." "Let's go up and see," said Jack. Annie grabbed a rope ladder and started climbing. Jack followed. Rain dripped from the trees onto his poncho. They climbed into the treehouse. Annie shined her light into each corner. The first 3 corners were empty. Then the flashlight beam hit the fourth. Jack and Danny gasped with surprise. Sitting in the corner was a small dog. He looked like a turtle puppy. He had a stuffy light brown fur. He stared sadly at Jack and Danny. "Oh," whispered Annie. "Where do you come from?" said Jack. Annie patted the dog's head. He wagged his tail. "He's so cute," she said. "He looked like a little teddy bear." "Hi, Teddy." Teddy was actually a good name for him, Jack thought. "Where did you come from, Teddy?" he asked. The little dog whimpered. "Don't be sad," said Annie. "Everything's okay." "How did he get up here?" Jack asked. "I don't know, but I bet Morgan has something to do with it," said Annie. Jack's gaze fell on the piece of paper lying on the floor. "I think you're right," he says. He picked up the paper. On it was a fancy writing that said, "This little dog is under the spell and needs your help. To free him, you must be given 4 special things. A gift from the ship lost at sea, a gift from the prairie blue, a gift from the forest far away, the gift from the kangaroo. Be wise, be brave, be careful. Morgan's. P.S. Your Master Librarian's card wouldn't help on these missions. Just be yourself and all will be well." "What kind of spell do you think Teddy's under?" said Annie. "Who knows?" said Jack. "Poor thing," said Annie. She patted the dog's head. He licked her hands. "It looks like we have to take 4 trips," said Jack. Teddy trotted over to the book. He pushed it with his nose. Look, said Annie. I bet that will take us on the first trip. She picked up the book that the little dog has chosen. Good dog, Teddy, she says. The title of the book was The Unsinkable Ship. Well, at least that's good, said Jack. The ship wouldn't sink if it is okay. If it is lost. Ready, Teddy? Asked Annie. Arf, arf, he answered. Jack pointed at the cover of the book. I wish we could go there, he says. The wind started to blow. The tree house started to spin. It swam faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 2. The Unsinkable Ship. Arf, arf! Jack opened his eyes. He shivered. Whatever they were now, it was cold. Very cold. Teddy barked again. Shh, said Jack. Annie shined the flashlight on her clothes. Wow, we're dressed like old-fashioned kids, she says. Instead of pajamas and poncho, she wears a sailor dress and a long wood cloak. Jack has on an overcoat and knee-length pants with long socks. His backpack has turned to leather. He also has on the shirt and ties. Where are we? He wondered aloud. Jack and Danny looked out the window. The moonless sky glittered with the stars. There was a soft wind and the sound of water lapping. The treehouse seemed to be resting on the wooden desk between two giant clumps. Jack looked up and saw smoke coming out from the common. We must have landed on the ship between the smokestack, he says. Then Jack looked straight ahead and saw the box higher in the trees, higher in the air, near the front of the ship. That must be the lookout nest, he says. Jack sat back in the treehouse and opened their book. Annie handed the flashlight. Let's find out where we are, he says. He turned to the picture of the huge ocean liner. By the light of the flashlight, he read, Late at night on April 14, 1912, an English ocean liner was making her fourth voyage across the Arctic Ocean. She was going to New York City, carrying 2,200 passengers. The ship was 4 city blocks long. Most people believed the ship was unsinkable. Oh man, we're in 1912, said Jack. He pulled out his notebook and wrote, April 14, 1912. This ship is huge, said Annie. How will we ever find a gift to help free Teddy? You can't go looking for the gift, said Jack. You have to wait until someone gives it to you. Right, said Annie with a sigh. Well, I guess we just have to ourselves, like Merlin says. And maybe we'll get lucky. This is hard, said Jack. The little dog whined. Don't worry, Teddy, said Annie. We'll free you from your spell. Just then the shout came from the lookout nest. Iceberg ahead! Jack and Danny turned back to the window just in time to see the huge iceberg looming out of the sea. The iceberg was dark with a fringe of white at the top, and it was right in front of the ship. Jack felt the jerk. Then he heard the grating sounds. The ship was trampling against the mountain of ice. Arf, arf, Teddy barked. Shh, don't be scared, said Annie. She picked the dog up and hugged him. The tramping sound stopped. The ship slid past the iceberg until they lost sight of it. The night was calm again. See, Annie said to Teddy, it was just a little bump. The ship is unsinkable. But Jack was worried. Wait, I have to read more about this, he said. Don't read now, Jack, said Annie. It's time to got the gift. Come on, Teddy. He picked up the little dogs and flashlight, and she climbed out the treehouse window. Hey, don't take the flashlight, said Jack, but Annie was gone. Annie, called Jack. He heard a soft yikes. Annie stuck her head back in the treehouse. Bad news, she said in a whisper. I think you better see this. Jack rolled his stuff into his knapsack. He put it on and climbed out the window. Annie was standing by the ship, ready, holding Teddy. Without a word, she winked at the flashlight on the light posters hanging from the railing. In the big black rattler, there was a word RMS Titanic. Chapter 3 SOS. Jack stared at the name of the window of the ship. Do you know what happened to Titanic, don't you? He said softly. Annie nodded. It hit the iceberg and sank, she says. But I don't get it. I thought this ship was unsinkable. That was people thought when the Titanic was built, said Jack. But they were wrong. Suddenly, steam gushed out the ship's smoke tank. Then the engines cut up. The Titanic stopped moving. We better go home, said Jack. There's nothing we can do here. We'll have to find another lost ship, the safer one. No, we have to stay and help, said Annie. We can escape in the treehouse anytime we want. But what can we do, said Jack. This ship is going to sink no matter what. We can't change history, and we can't take anyone into our time with us. Yeah, but maybe there's some way we can help, said Annie. How? Said Jack. I don't know, said Annie. Let's look around. Holding Teddy, she disappeared down the small stairway. Jack followed her to the lower level. Annie put Teddy down on the desk. The dog sniffed and chunks of ice that has fallen off the iceberg. The ship seemed strangely empty. Where is everyone? Annie asked. Maybe they're still asleep, said Jack. They probably don't even know the ship hit something. Annie and Jack started toward the front of the Titanic. Come on, Teddy, said Annie. The little dogs trembled after them. They passed the round window of different rooms on the ship. Jack looked through them as they went by. He saw exercise bike and rowing machines in one room. In another, there was palm trees, bamboo chairs, and table. Next, they passed the library filled with books. This ship is like a town, said Jack. Near the end of the deck, they peeked through another round window. In the little room, the man was wearing the earphone. Then Jack heard a clinking noise as the man tapped the level on the black box. What's he doing? Asked Annie. Jack shrugged. Another man stood nearby. He had a white beard and wore a fancy uniform. Since the international call for help, he ordered a man with headphones. Tell all the ship close by to come at once. We're sinking. Yes, Captain, said the man. Great, they're calling for help, Annie whispered. Jack shook his head. I don't think help will come, he said. He shined the flashlight on the book and found a picture of the radio openers. He read quietly to Annie. After the Titanic hit the iceberg at 11:40 p.m., the ship radio operator sent out an SOS. An SOS is the International Distress Signal in Morse code. Unfortunately, the only ship near the Titanic has turned off its radio for the night. All the other ships who received the message were too far away to help. When the Titanic sank around 2:20 a.m., she was all alone. That's terrible, said Annie. I wonder what time is now, said Jack. I don't know, said Annie. Jack pulled out his notebook and wrote, SOS sent out. Titanic sank at 2:20 a.m. He's sleeping, whispered Annie. Hide, whispered Jack. He and Danny moved quickly into the shadows. The captain stepped out onto the desk. Tell the man to start loading the lifeboats now, the captain ordered the deckhand. Yes, Captain, the man answered. The captain and the deckhand left. Annie turned to Jack. At last, that's good, she whispered. Everyone can get out into the lifeboats. I don't think it's good enough, said Jack. He read from the books again. On the Titanic, there was the 20 lifeboats. To save all the passengers, the ship needed twice as many. But with all the confusion on board, the number of the lifeboats were not even full when they left the ship. Many third-class passengers did not have a chance to get into any of the lifeboats because they were on the lower deck and don't know where to go. Jack wrote his notebook. Need twice as many lifeboats. Hey, I know what we can do to help, said Annie. What? Said Jack. We can help someone find the lifeboat, she says. You're right, said Jack. With our book, we can find our way to the lower deck. He turned a page to the map of the ship. He and Annie started it. We'll start at the grand stairway, said Jack. He traced the path with his fingers. Then we'll go down the third cabin this way. Good plan, said Annie. Jack looked back through the door. The radio upstairs were still tapping out of his message, over and over and over. SOS, whispered Jack. He took a deep breath. Okay, he says, let's go. Over and over. Chapter 4. Put on your life belt. Jack and Danny slipped through the door of the back boat deck. Teddy was at their heel. Wow, breathed Annie. Arf, arf, Teddy barked. They were at the top of the empty ground stairway. It was beautiful. It was made of dark glassy woods. A huge dome with light hung above it. At the top of the stair was a fancy clock. The hand and the clock were at 12:20. Oh man, it's 20 minutes after midnight, said Jack. The ship's going down in 2 hours. They hurried down the carpet step and into the first-class hallway. Daddy followed along. Jack looked at the map in the book. Those are the stair rooms, he says. This hall will take us to the third-class open deck. Hey, look, said Annie. The floor's standing down. Jack caught his breath. She was right. That means the front of the ship is already sinking, he says. Just then the man in the white uniform came down the hall. He knocked on the doors. Put on your life belt at once and came up to the boat deck, he called. Men and women stumbled out of their rooms. They were elephant robes made of shiny clothes and gold. What's going on? The woman asked. There's been a little accident, the man in the uniform said cheerfully. Oh, how silly, said the woman. It's not silly, said Annie. Do what he says. Arf, arf, Teddy barked, as if he agreed with Annie. Shh, Teddy, said Jack. He picked up the little dog. Then he and Danny hurried down the hall. They crossed the third-class open deck. There were more people who were standing. Those people were not dressed in fancy clothes. They mostly were plain dark clothes. They didn't seem worried either. They were all joking and laughing. Jack and Danny slipped through the crowd. They went into the big smoky room. 4 men were playing cards. The woman played the piano. The young couples danced to the music. Put on your life belt and go up to the boat deck, Annie shouted. The people looked at Annie in surprise. The card player smiled at her. She opened her mouth and yelled, but Jack put her out the window. Put her out the door. Come on, he says. We have to go down to the third-class cabin before it's too late. They hurried down another hall. Then they climbed down another stairs. Jack carried Teddy the whole way. At the bottom of the stairs, they rounded a corner, and they both gasped. The floor was really sitting hot down there. The water slushed at the end of the hallway. The Titanic is sinking, said Jack. But no one understands, said Annie. I know, said Jack. It made him feel terribly sad. Teddy whined. Jack buried his face into the little dog fort. Come on, said Annie. She began banging the cabin doors. The doors swung open. The cabin were all empty. The people from this hallway must be one up near the ledge, said Jack. Maybe we should go down to the lower deck. He started to walk back the stairs, but Teddy began barking furiously. What's wrong with him? Said Jack. I don't know, said Annie. Suddenly the dog leaped out of Jack's arms. He charged down the hall. He was running straight toward the water. Watch out, cried Jack. He and Annie ran after Teddy. The dog began barking at the closed door. The door opened. A very small boy peeked out. Chapter 5. Williams and Lucky. The boy wore the nightshirt. He had red hair and freckled. He looked about 4 years old. He rubbed his eyes sleepily. Then he saw Teddy. Puppy, he says with a huge smile. He threw his arms around the little dog's neck. Teddy licked his face. Come on back to bed, Williams, the voice called from the inside in the room. Come out, Annie shouted. It's an emergency. The moment later, the door opened wider. A girl in the long white nightgown peeked out. She had red hair and freckles too. She was tall and thin. She looked to be about 12 or 13 years old. Hello, she says. She put her arms around the little boy. I'm Lucky O'Malley. This is my brother William. I'm Annie, said Annie, and this is my brother Jack. Get your parents and tell them to come with us, said Jack. Lucky looked confused. Our parents aren't here. They're in New York, she says. We're on the way to them. Listen, the Titanic has hit an iceberg, said Annie. We'll take you to the lifeboat. What do you mean, said Lucky. The ship is sinking, said Annie. Look. She pointed to the water at the end of the hall. Oh, no, cried Lucky. Don't be afraid, said Jack. Just get your coat and your lifebelt. We don't have much time. Lucky nodded. Then she went back inside the room and came out with their things. Lucky pulled out her coat and her lifebelt. Annie helped William put his on. Let's go, said Jack. Wait, can Teddy fit in your knapsack? Said Annie. Try, said Jack. Annie slid the little dog into the leather sack on Jack's back. Only Teddy's front paw and head stuck out. Stay there, honey, said Annie. She kissed Teddy on the nose. Jack didn't feel any extra weight in his knapsack. The little dog felt as light as air. Wait, I forgot something, said Lucky. We don't have time, started Jack, but Lucky rushed back into rooms. Hurry, shouted Annie. When Lucky came down, Jack saw her slip something into her coat pocket. Then she grabbed William's head. Ready? Said Jack. Suddenly he felt freezing water breeze against his shoes. He looked down. A green sea water was slowly moving down the hole. Arf, arf, barked Teddy from Jack's pocket. Jack. Run, cried Annie. Chapter 6. Women and children first. Annie led everyone down the hall to stairs, away from the cold sea water. As she and Lucky helped William up the stairs, Jack and Teddy followed. Halfway up the staircase, Teddy let out a yelp. Jack looked back. The water was creeping up the stair, step by step. "Come on, Jack!" Annie shouted. Jack ran up the rest of the stairs. He and Danny led Williams and Lucky through the smoky room. The men were still playing cards. "To the lifeboat!" Annie yelled at the card player. "Right now, hurry!" The man smiled at her again. "Little girl," one says with a laugh, "even if this ship does sink, it will take all night. There's plenty of time for everyone on board to be rescued." "Indeed, many ships are on the way right now," answered man. "Right now," another man said in a smoothing voice. "There's nothing to worry about." "That's true," said Annie. Lucky turned to Jack. "This doesn't sound so bad after all," she says. "It is bad. Please trust me," said Jack. "We have to keep going." They went outside. The crowd on the third class deck has ground. Many were the lifeboats, but no one here seems very worried yet. Jack and Danny pulled Lucky and Williams along. They hurried through the crowds and down the first-class hall. They came to the end and trooped up the ground staircase. On the top deck, the Titanic was as bright as the Christmas tree. The band played lively music. With a hiss of rush of light, a rocket sank into the sea. It made a loud boom. Then it burst into many colors balls. Shivering in the cold, William laughed and clapped. "Firework," he says. Lucky smiled at Jack and Danny. "This is the trick, isn't it?" she says. You brought us this party." "No, it isn't," said Jack. "Don't you remember the waters downstairs?" Lucky's smile faded. "Women and children first," someone shouted. "That's you," said Annie. "Come on." She pulled Lucky and William toward the lifeboat. Chapter 7. The Gift. The lifeboat was waiting to go down. It looked tiny as it swung on cable at the side of the big ship. The water below looked black. Get in, the uniformed man shouted. No, said William. He hid his face against Lucky's coat. Lucky was shaking her head. "I'd rather stay here," she says to Jack and Danny. Jack understood. The brightly lit Titanic seemed so stalled and safe compared in the little lifeboat. "You can't stay here," said Anne. "The Titanic is going to sink soon." "Very soon," said Jack. Lucky kept shaking her head. Jack saw tears in her eyes. "Lucky, we're telling the truth," said Jack. "You and Williams are in great danger. You have to be brave now," said Annie, "for your brother's sake." Lucky straightened up and tried to smile. "All right," she says. "I will." "This way," the man called. "Women and children, this way, you four." He pointed at them. "Get in," said Jack. He gently pushed Lucky and William forward. "Goodbye, Lucky," said Annie. "Goodbye, William." Lucky looked surprised. "You're not coming?" she asked. "No, we're going home another way," said Annie. "Oh dear," said Lucky. "I hope you'll be safe." "We will, don't worry," said Jack. "Wait," said Lucky. She reached into her coat's pocket and pulled out the silver watch on the chain. "This is the gift for both of you," she says. "It's our father's watch. We carried it on a voyage for good luck. I have a feeling that the two of you were our good luck tonight." Jack looked at the watch as Lucky put it around on his neck. The time on the watch was 1:50. There were only 30 minutes left. "Hurry, he says. Jack and Danny watched as big man picked Lucky up and swung her into the little boat. boat. Then he picked Williams up and put him in Lucky's lap. "Bye!" cried Annie. She stepped forward to blow a kiss. Just then the man picked Annie up. "No!" shouted Annie. "In the lifeboat, my dear," the man said, and he tossed Annie into the lifeboat. "No, no!" cried Jack. Then the man reached for him too. Jack jumped away just in time. "Annie!" he called. He yelled, "Get out!" Annie tried to climb out of the lifeboat. "Let me out!" she cried. "Arf, arf!" Teddy barked from over Jack's shoulders. The lifeboat jerked. It started cracking down toward the dark, cold sea. "Come back!" Jack called, but there was nothing he could do as Annie disappeared from the sight. Chapter 8. Every man for himself. "Annie!" cried Jack. "Let me out!" he called Annie's shout, but the lifeboat kept going down. "Wait for me!" came the loud voice. "Wait for me!" A woman in the fur coat appeared at the railing. She nearly threw herself over the side of the ship. "Stop!" the uniformed man called. "Bring the boat back for Lady Blackwell." Slowly the lifeboat was brought back down. Jack pushed his way forward. The lifeboat came even with the ship. Jack reached out to Annie. She grabbed his hands. He pulled her back onto sinking ship. "Room for one more!" Annie shouted to Lady Blackwell. Then she and Jack took off before anyone could catch them. They ran up the sliding deck. Annie stopped and peered over the railing. Jack looked too. They saw Lucky and William's little lifeboat cracking down toward the Titanic Ocean. It reached the glassy black waters. Then it floated off to the darkness. Annie waved. "Bye, William. Bye, Lucky," she shouted. Thank you for your gift." She held up the watch that hung from her neck. Then she and Jack looked at it. The time was 2:05. "Only 15 minutes left," said Annie. "We have to get back to the treehouse now," said Jack. "Let's climb the stairs to the smokehouse." Suddenly the front of the ship dipped down into the sea. The deck chairs started to slide past Jack and Annie. The band played the slow and calm song. It sounded like a church hymn, but the crowd started to panic. People pushed and shouted, trying to get safer part of the ship. "It's every man for himself," the captain shouted to all of his crew. The men all stopped what they were doing and ran up the deck. Jack and Annie ran too. They dodged sliding tables and chairs. They reached the stairs that led to Smokehouse. They grabbed the railing and pulled themselves up the step. The ship tidal further. Get to those smokestacks, cried Jack. They slid there and cried down the deck. But when they got to the smokestack, Jack and Danny looked around wildly. The magic treehouse was gone. Chapter 9. Time stopped. Stop. "Where is it?" Annie shouted Annie. The front of the Titanic sank deeper into the sea. Jack and Danny fell forward. They grabbed the railing and held on for their lives. "Maybe the treehouse fell into the ocean," shouted Jack. A great roar started coming from the ship. Jack imagined everything crashing forward. All the furniture, dishes, bicycles, the ground clock on the staircase. He looked down. The great wave The giant wave of water rolled over the lower deck. Jack imagined water floating the third-class floor, the car room, and the grand stairway. He closed his eyes, waiting to be washed away. Arf, arf! The barking came from the distance. Teddy! Cried Annie. Jack has forgotten all about little dog. Holding on to the railing, he used one hand to pull off his night pack. Teddy wasn't there. There was more frightened barking. Where's Teddy? Cried Jack. He's calling us, shouted Annie. We can't look for him, shouted Jack. We'll fall off the ship. Teddy barked and barked. He's close by, said Annie. She held on to the railing and moved slowly down the ship deck. Annie, cried Jack. Suddenly a light on the Titanic went out. The world was pitch dark. Jack couldn't see Annie at all. Annie, he cried. He shouted. He tried to move down the deck too, but the ship tied again. Jack tripped and fell. He rolled until he crashed into a smokestack. Jack, cried Annie. Here, here! Teddy kept barking. The back of the Titanic was rising out of the ocean. The front of the ships were going down. Jack tried to go down the smokestack without falling. In the dark, he could barely see the treehouse. It was stuck between the smokestack and the railing. It was lying on its sides. Annie and Teddy were looking out the window. Teddy's barking. Let me here, cried Annie. Hurry, Jack. Jack hurled down the smokestack. He held on his hands. Annie grabbed it. She pulled him into the treehouse. Teddy licked his face. I wish we could go there. Go home, shouted Annie, pointing at the Pennsylvania boat. Jack heard a loud crack. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10. A Touch of Magic. Oh man, whispered Jack. He was lying on the floor of the treehouse. He was wearing his pajamas and rain pitcher again. You okay? Annie asked. Yeah, you? Said Jack. My heart beating really fast, said Annie. Mine too, said Jack. He thought of the Titanic sinking into the cold black sea. His eyes filled with tears. It was terrible, he says. Annie nodded. Jack could see tears on her cheek. Teddy licked Jack's face. Hey, said Jack, how did you get out of my night pack? Teddy whined. Jack and Danny stroked his furry heads and ears. I think he has a touch of magic, said Annie. Slowly, Jack sat up. He saved our life, he says. And now we have the first gift to break the spell he's under, said Annie. She turned on to her flashlight. She shined it on the silver pocket watch that hung from her neck. Lucky's gift, she said. No one chest up. The hands were at 2:20. Jack was silent. Then he sighed. That's exactly when the ship went down, he says. Annie looked at him. I guess that's when the time stopped for the Titanic, she says. Jack nodded. Annie put the pocket watch on the top of the Morgan's nose. A gift from the ship lost at the sea, she said softly. They were both quiet. Then Jack took his glasses and wiped the tear from his eyes. Jack stood up. She took a deep breath. I'm ready to go, she said. Let's put Teddy in your pack and take him home with us. She shined her flashlight around the treehouse. Teddy, she said. There was no sign of the little dog. He's not here, said Annie. What are you talking about, said Jack. We're just petting him. He took off his magic trick again, said Annie. She sighed. We have to go home without him. But what happened to him? Said Jack. I don't know, said Annie, but I have a feeling we'll see him again soon. She started down the rope ladder. Jack looked around the treehouse one last time. Teddy, he says, but the treehouse was quiet. Jack put on his backpack and climbed down the rope ladder. Annie was waiting for him. Without a word, Jack took her hand. The rain had stopped, but water still dripped from the trees. Stars glittered overhead in the clear sky. Suddenly, Jack and Danny left the Frog Creek woods. They walked up the dark streets to their home and climbed the steps to their porch. Before they went inside, they looked out again at the night. The time might have stopped for the Titanic, Jack says, but books are, and memories keep the Titanic alive, don't they? It's a true story, but it's also like math now. Yeah, said Annie, and every time the story told, we wish it had a different ending. Jack nodded. It was exactly how he felt. Staring at the starry sky, he shuddered at the memory of sinking ship. He knew that he and Danny were lucky. They had come home. Good night, Titanic, he said softly. Goodbye. Then he and Annie slipped quietly into their house, where it was cozy and dry and very